Welcome to A Bunch of Therapists,
the podcast that goes behind the doors of the therapy room.
Our guests will be sharing their experiences of counselling and psychotherapy,
and all the lessons they've learned on the journey through life.
This episode is hosted by Dipti Solanki and me, Michaela McCarthy.
Our guest this week is Mandy Wax.
Hi Mandy, welcome to our podcast today. First of all, I'd like to know why therapy? Why did you go into therapy? How did you start?
It was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really remember the specifics. It was a very long time ago. I remember that I was already a parent, so I think there were some issues around parenting, probably being a single parent and relationships, really. I absolutely didn't know what to expect. And the thing that's really strong in my mind when I remember that was that the room felt enormous and the therapist felt a very long way away, like in the distance. And so that I found that difficult and uncomfortable from the word go. You know, why are you so far away? And when I think back, she probably wasn't that far away, but it didn't feel intimate and it didn't feel it was uncomfortable actually.
That's really powerful imagery there. What do you think that was about then? So if she wasn't that far away, what was that experience like for you? Just expanding on that.
It was difficult because I think I was hoping for understanding, and I was hoping to be able to start to talk about things, and maybe, I don't know, thinking back, I was probably doing it for all the wrong reasons. I don't know. It just didn't feel, this person felt very remote and very inaccessible.
And how did you find this therapist?
I found her on a directory or looked her up. And I think at that point I was looking for, who's got a qualification. And on that basis. But it wasn't, I know now, I didn't know at the time, but I know now that she was working in a very psychoanalytic way. So there was a remoteness about it and a distance that some analysts adopt that didn't really suit me. So
It's not what you needed.
So how long did you stay with her?
I think it was a few months. But it didn't continue.
And then when was your next time for therapy?
I think the next time I started therapy was probably when I started training to be a therapist. I think I then had quite a big gap.
And did you get the right person?
Still not really the right person.
Okay.
I feel as though I've only really found the right person pretty recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's really curious, but you still decided to train as a therapist. Why do you think that was?
It's interesting because I'm only thinking about it now as we're talking about it, but I'm thinking it's a little bit like, why on earth did I become a teacher? Because I hated school. Okay. And I was naughty at school and I didn't do that well at school. Okay. And yet, when I was more mature, where I'm going with this is I think that maybe I wanted to be the teacher that I didn't have.
That you needed.
Yes. Yeah, and maybe I wanted to be the therapist that I didn't have. Maybe.
I remember speaking to a therapist, but he's still in the industry, I won't mention his name, and he said he never found the person. And he tried forever. So I'm pleased you found someone now. Is it now?
Yes, now.
That you have. And maybe you're just ready now, or who knows?
Yeah, who knows? It's odd. I think as well I didn't have the confidence perhaps before training or even during training. I didn't have the confidence to believe, I know this isn't quite right.
Right.
Whereas now I have that.
And I think during training, something really incredible happens in terms of you really understand the potential of therapy and what therapy can offer to clients if we show up in the right way for them as well. So yeah, maybe that's a lot to do with the fact that you still continued on that path.
Yeah.
And the training. So you teacher for years.
Many years.
And so when did you decide to train then? How did that happen?
Well, I had to. Well, I didn't have to, but I had to do something to, pay the bills. And I was bringing up my son by myself. So the security of a teaching job was,
and the holidays and
and it worked really well, and it was fantastic. So when my son was at the sort of age where he was going to be going off to university, I thought, now's my time. Now I can do it. So that's when I took the plunge.
And was it the right decision?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
That sounds emphatic. Tell us why it was the right decision.
It sounds a bit of a cliche, but I feel it's what I'm meant to be doing. And actually, now that I'm in a training environment and I'm a therapist, it feels like bringing all of it together in a perfect way, in just the right way. So it's worked out well.
And so how long have you been practicing as a therapist now?
13 years.
Yeah. Then you actually found the awareness centre. Well, it was your son who found the awareness.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
And he said, Mum, this would be right up your street. I think that was the term.
Exactly. He said, this is you. This is a training school for therapists. For counsellors and therapists. This is just right for you. Yeah, he found it.
And I remember, because I don't come from an education background, but I had a good idea of how to run a school, and we had some really good tutors around us and supervisors and everything. And I tend to, being an entrepreneur, I'm that way, even though I'm a therapist, which I love. I just went for it. It was like 2 tutors said to me, why don't we set up a training school? And I went, all right then, And so we just sort of did. There was no major plan. But one thing is, I did know that we needed external markers, an external verifier. We found a tutor along the way who does skills tutoring, because obviously we were having more people neurodiverse and English second language, all those things. Because I'm very pro education, and I don't just mean in the classroom, but in life. And then you turned up, and I remember we was in the training room over in Clapham, and we were trying to work out whether our diploma was a level 4 or a level 5.
Yeah.
And because you come from education, you were like looking to go, no, you meet the criteria, this is a level 5. Well, I wasn't confident enough to make that decision. And I thought, oh my God. And we done that by mistake. We just put more into our training when we put it together.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be a level 5. So it happened, a good thing in error, really.
It's very good, because it is, although it's difficult is not the right word, but it is a very intensive training. It's hard work. And so the fact that it is of that higher standard makes all the difference. But it is.
And I think that's a really important point, because I think we live in a world where courses are so accessible to everybody now, and you see people doing coaching courses in a weekend and then being able to call themselves, whatever they want to call themselves. And I think there's something that definitely surprised me and actually delighted me in that when you train to be a counsellor, what a journey it is, and how deep the training is, how intensive it is, and how much it actually changes you as an individual. And that's a requirement. So I'd love to hear from both of you actually on that, on what your take is on the therapist training and that journey and how it changes one.
Well, the foundation is where people start, but some people that we've had come in. They've done level 2s, they're open, they know bits, because I know your background when you went into therapy and your training psychoanalytic. Very different, and we're integrative, and I wonder what attracts you to the integrative, even though you've training and experiences in psychoanalytic.
I think psychoanalysis is fantastic, and I think it's the foundation of everything, and I think it's where it all started. But I think where everything has gone since then is as important. And I think all the developments and all the thinkers and the theories and everything that's built in the last, whatever it is, 125 years or whatever, is, we have to look at everything, I think. And I think to be in 2025 and just be looking at psychoanalysis is not current enough. It's not modern enough. I think we have to go with the times, and we have to go with what's not what's in fashion or in vogue, but what is happening in the world around us, and that affects. It's the same with anything. It's the same with media. It's the same with politics. Whatever. It's evolving. Yeah. So I think counselling and therapy has to be evolving.
Yeah. It's almost like being agile as a profession as well in that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love integrative because I love the way that it just pulls from wherever it needs to pull from.
So Mandy, can you just explain a little bit about what does integrative mean when it comes to the course and in terms of the approach?
So integrative means that we don't just use one modality or one approach or one theory of counselling and therapy. We draw from a number of different approaches as the discipline has evolved over time. There's been lots of new things brought in. So we look at, just to give you an example of different modalities we look at person-centred counselling. We look at psychodynamic theory in counselling, Gestalt, transactional analysis, transpersonal. So we work from a therapist, a thinker called Patricia Clarkson, who brought in the 5 relational model, which draws from all of the different modalities. And interestingly, Dipti, when you said about what happens when you train, and I think you change, your relationships change. And that's, I think, something that we don't expect and that students don't expect. And when you're training, you can realise as you're going along the way.
It's not for the faint-hearted, that bit, is it, really?
No. And sometimes it's quite sad, but other times it's joyful.
Yes.
But it can be quite difficult, can't it? Because you realise that your interests and your thoughts are starting to be quite different from perhaps your friends, your loved ones, and how you balance that is...
Yeah. I think authenticity is something that blossoms, but then it challenges your thought patterns as well, doesn't it? And you're just not willing to put up with some things and you want more of others, and changes everything.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's so important for our viewers and listeners to hear that, everything that you've just shared about the journey, because I think very few people realise how in-depth this whole transformation into becoming a therapist is. It's deep and it's wide and it's a very emotional journey as well as an intellectual one, wouldn't you say?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. What are some of the emotions that you see surfacing with the students that you support?
I think for some people it's definitely transformative. It definitely is. And a lot of students talk about that and say how and it's not it's not without its issues. Like we've been saying, because sometimes relationships that have been ticking along fine suddenly come under the microscope a bit more, and so questions start to get asked. I think a lot of people, let's face it, these days don't have the luxury of being able to just do this training. So they're carrying on with perhaps a first career or a previous career, and they're juggling.
The families,
they're juggling their family lives, they're juggling their career, they're juggling. So
trying to stay healthy in the process.
Yes.
It's a big commitment.
Yes.
It is, and we're always talking about self-care. And yet it's difficult because your time is so consumed.
In terms of the students that you, I'm sure you end up supporting in a lot of different ways, I'd love to hear about what their journeys are like, what their anxieties, what their joys are like. What's your experience of that side of things?
I think something I hear a lot from the students is that, and it really resonates, I think, when I was studying philosophy all those years ago, is that once you start on a path of looking and investigating and thinking, you can't really ever go off the path. So once you're on the path, you're on the path. And so it becomes your life, and it becomes part of you. So I think that's a really lovely realization that they have, our students. I mean, sometimes they say, sometimes I just wish I could switch off for the evening and not be thinking, but what's their motivation, and why even like if they're watching TV or something. So I get that, but it's so that's one thing, that it is a journey that you can't really just say, actually I've changed my mind, I'm not going to do that anymore. Once you're on it, you're on it.
Cross the line,
it becomes you.
It does.
And so if you think about your journey so far, and our school is growing, and it's still a baby, so to speak, even though the awareness centre's been going 20 years, we've attracted so many great people.
We're at a very exciting
it feels
stage.
Exciting.
It is exciting.
Yeah.
And I do feel as though the sky's the limit here. We're growing, we're developing, we're adding courses all the time. Our student numbers are growing, and it's really a very.
But even the team,
time.
like the back house and everything, the Crawl Back House, they're dynamic. I think they're dynamic in their approach as well, because the environment that we've created is that way, and we're bringing people in. Great tutors, great supervisors, people wanting to join us.
Yes, and it's a very supportive environment, and what we're interested in is the next generation's the wrong word, but is the next cohort, or the next group of therapists who graduate. We're interested in them being the best therapists they can be. So that's what we're supporting. We're not really interested in running it as a sort of ticking the boxes and you're doing very well done. It's very supportive, because we want people to graduate from here and be fantastic therapists.
So, Mandy, explain to the listeners and viewers, what is it that people have to do to train as a counsellor? What is it?
So we offer either a partial journey or a complete journey to being an accredited counsellor. The foundation certificate is a sort of introductory course. It it's a brilliant sort of all-round introduction to what does counselling and therapy involve, and an introduction to the different theories and ideas, some of the thinkers, some of the, really the foundation, as it says. And it gets people starting to practice working with other people in this sort of setting. Then, and that, for some people, that might be all they want to experience. They might want to, what's this all about, this counselling? Is it for me? How does it feel? So for some people, they might leave it there. But most of our students get the feel for it, and they love it, and they want to go straight from the foundation and do a diploma. So our diploma course is a 2-year BACP accredited course. It offers students a huge range of things. They get lots of theory classes from visiting tutors who are specialists in their different areas, and each week they also meet with the same lead tutor who takes them through skills practice and working with others and processing all the things that they're learning about. They will also do at least 2 placements to actually be practicing the real thing in the real world.
With real people.
And they will experience supervision, because all practicing therapists carry on being in supervision for all of their career. And that 2-year diploma, when students graduate from that, when they are because it's BACP accredited, they will automatically be qualified to practice and be on the BACP register of counsellors.
Yeah, I think one of the things I know a lot of my colleagues had been struggling with is placement opportunities, actually. And I think that and if you're studying somewhere where you are almost guaranteed placement if you get through whatever criteria you have to get through, is really important, because the training, is quite an investment emotionally, physically, financially, all of that. And then it feels like the final hurdle if you can't get the placement that you want, because you're so eager to go out in the world and do what you want to do with all the training you've got. It's hard and it's demoralising. So I think having a placement is really something to think about as well. Almost guaranteed placement. Yeah.
And there are a lot of questions, I think, out there, once people have qualified, that it's one of those professions where you do get asked to do work for nothing, and all the voluntary work that some therapists are expected to do. And it's a big discussion question, an issue.
It really is.
Why would we work for nothing?
Yeah, true. I mean, that's why we provide the supervision on our placements here. You don't have to pay for our supervision. We fund it because students are giving up their time to work with clients.
I think what I would love to see a move towards in the profession is to have paid placements as well, because I think that would make such a difference to therapists who are training. And I get there's logistics around that, but I think that would be a really a powerful move and a supportive move to those who are training as well.
It's an interesting time, isn't it, when thinking towards the future and thinking what's going to happen in our profession, really, because we keep being promised more public funds into mental health, and yet it doesn't feel as though it's getting any better. No. So that this talking about this kind of makes me think.
Well, I think what it is, it's not enough. We live in London, and London is a busy city, and I think more people are open for therapy, and even in the NHS, which we manage the counselling service, and more people are coming in, and
They need to match that demand in a way that's sustainable, like we say, for the whole ecosystem, actually. And I think it will make for better therapists. I think it will mean there's more equity because a lot of people want to do the training, but it's an expensive training to do as well. So if we're looking at making it equitable for all parts of society to train as a therapist, we need to kind of be thinking about that. And I think that needs to come from much higher up, like the government.
Yes.
And they need to look at how we can fund that better.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to close, we would love to know what little piece of wisdom you'd like to leave for our listeners and viewers when it comes to therapy, the world of therapy.
I think I would say you don't know what it might be like or what it could be like until you try it.
Yeah.
So don't try and imagine it. If you have a thought about it, try it. Try therapy. And there's only one first time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Thank you. You've been listening to A Bunch of Therapists with me, Michaela McCarthy, and Dipti Solanki. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate and review.
And don't forget to follow us on our socials to keep up to date with all of our news. Thank you so much, and until next time.